Adam Smith, that were just being discussed. And one was the idea that, okay, Jeffries certainly is open to freezing spending. I don't know the time period. How do you feel about that?
Look, I think we're in real trouble here, more trouble than most people realize. Because the one thing to keep in mind is for all the Republicans talk about having a plan, they have yet to specifically identify anything that they would cut. Now, the plan that they passed has a generic, I think they freeze it at FY22 levels. They freeze the discretionary portion of the budget. So they don't even touch anything within the mandatory portion of the budget, which is, gosh, like $4.5 trillion. So we're down to 1.7. And when we talk about that discretionary portion that they quote unquote want to cut, all they've talked about within that is what they won't cut. We've talked about defense, which is 52% of that number. They're not going to cut that. They're going to increase that. Then we talk about veterans, which is $100 billion, but they're not going to cut that. They're not going to cut Department of Homeland Security. Even the Republicans, for all of their brave talk about the spending problem that we have in D.C., to date, they will not identify a single specific program that they would cut. So how are we going to resolve this?
But Congressman, if you do limit spending increases to no more than 2%, you're cutting some stuff by virtue of the fact that inflation's running, almost triple that. So that does amount to a cut. How do you respond to that?
But here's the problem with that, okay? It amounts to a generic cut, 2%. So, but if you then have to actually vote on cutting something, that is a much more difficult vote. Do they have the votes to actually make those cuts? So that's the problem with their plan.
Well, if a generic cut like that, they claim they do. Now, some of you, or your colleagues, sir, are not keen on that kind of generic cutting.
Right.
Although it seemed, again, Jeffries is open to it. So I guess what I'm asking you, are you open to it?
Well, that would be problem number two. Okay, again, once you get down the discretionary budget, the Republicans are open to a generic cut, but not defense, not veterans, not Homeland Security. Now you're down to about $700 billion of discretionary budget that you have to cut $230 billion out. My math skills evade me at this point, but that's roughly 30%. So they're asking us to support a 30% cut in what is primarily programs to help the poor, while not touching defense, not touching mandatory programs, not raising revenue.
If they extended that, as some of them claimed or thought that was the proposal, that they were agreeing to a cap on spending of 2%. Let's say that were the case for everything. So everyone's ox is getting gored. You would be open to that?
I'd be open to that, but there's got to be revenue as part of it. And that, as you just heard Jason say, completely off the table.
When you say revenue, the tax increases, so tax increases should be in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they should be part of the discussion. And again, I really want to emphasize here, if these members had to actually vote on, I don't know, cutting food stamps, cutting housing, cutting education by 30%, would they take that specific vote? Would the Republicans have the vote for that? It's really clever what they did. They passed this bill that just says, well, we'll cut 2%. We're going to tell you what we're not going to cut. We're not going to tell you what we are going to cut. And that's the problem that makes a deal very elusive.
Well, we can go, you're quite right to raise this issue. If it's generic, you're right, and that becomes an issue, then it's an up or down vote. It doesn't look like the votes are there. I talked about a sell-off today in the markets, sir. Yeah. Whether that had anything to do with this, it's beginning to happen. The markets had thought this would get solved. Maybe they're getting a hint we were too optimistic. Do you think, as things stand now, prior to this, they were too optimistic, that a deal is a gimme?
Absolutely. I think they were too optimistic. And again, that's why Democrats, for all the criticism of us, we want to raise the debt ceiling. We can argue about fiscal policy. Should there be more revenue? Should there be more spending? And there's going to be a very difficult time to agree with that. But we've ran up the bill to suddenly decide at the end of it, we're just not going to pay it. I mean, and you can make all kinds of arguments about, should we have increased spending? Should we have, done the Iraq war? Should we have cut taxes? All kinds of different things.
Right.
We ran up the bill, and now we're just saying, no, we're not going to pay it, and we're not willing to even get specific about what we would cut, because we know the public doesn't like specific cuts. And we're putting the debt ceiling at risk here in a very, very dangerous situation that I think is a lot more difficult to solve than most people realize.
All right, fascinating. It's interesting hearing both sides and what are those positions, and you ironed out yours quite clearly. Adam Smith of Washington, very good seeing you, Congressman. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, really appreciate the chance, Neil.